Hello, dear friends. We welcome you to our studio. Today we have another podcast, and our guest is Viktor Telunov, the original founder of the Elektroatom project and the current chief executive officer of Eliatom company.
That's absolutely right.
Victor, today, if I remember correctly, we agreed to discuss the overall influence and the various opportunities that investors have today, what exactly is in their hands, what kind of power they are actually allowed to wield, and probably several other related topics as well. Maybe reveal some secrets about what awaits investors in the future, why it is important to become part of the company, part of the project.
Alexander and all my dear friends, hello to you. Thank you so much for inviting me back once again to your truly wonderful studio. I am certain that we are going to have another great conversation today, especially since the topic we are discussing is very relevant and incredibly exciting right now. So what exactly is the main point in our current situation? The point is that we are now on the threshold of construction of object number 1. That's what we call it. This is the first assembly workshop for assembling power plants. And at this very moment, the entire point and the fundamental essence lies with the primary investors. And you know, Alexander, unfortunately, not all investors understand that an investor is not just an investor. You know, like in that movie. There, the investor is a violator, but not just a violator.
Yes.
Well, our friends probably don't know that movie. But nevertheless, an investor is not just an investor. What do I mean by that? After all, when a private or institutional investor chooses to buy a comprehensive investment package, that specific package contains actual shares. And those shares are exactly the shares of the future development of the enterprise that will be built, and by holding them, they officially become legal co-owners of this entire enterprise and share in its long-term value. Co-owners, precisely. To put it in another way, an investor is essentially the same as being a co-owner of the entire business enterprise. And unfortunately, a lot of people involved in our project, quite unfortunately, many don't fully understand this reality. They argue their point, in my opinion, incorrectly. You know how they think? They think, well, I'm an investor. I bought an investment package, and after that, let them do whatever they want. I'm going to let the project develop however it wants to. I've done my part, I've invested, and that's all there is to it. But unfortunately, that's the wrong attitude. Why is that? Because if you bought shares in the enterprise, then as a co-owner, you are directly interested in seeing this enterprise enter the international market and achieve the project's primary goals. As a co-owner, you are extremely and personally interested in this. You really need to understand that this is your own responsibility. It's not just my responsibility or the responsibility of the Elektroatom team, it's also yours. Because a tremendous amount of the project's success depends directly on you. Because you are the very person who can tell your close friends, your neighbors, your various relatives, and so on about this project. Why is that? Because the company Elektroatom does not invest any money into traditional forms of commercial advertising. That is, we don't have an advertising budget at all, none whatsoever. Because we use a variety of strategic marketing tools, this specialized investment company attracts capital through the effective and proven method of crowd investing. This specific approach involves gathering investments from a broad base of small and medium-sized individual investors to fund our projects. That is, we are not really interested in large investors as such. Of course, they can be involved, and in fact some are, but right now we're talking about the responsibility of the majority of investors.
It really seems to me that some of the individual investors I know personally who are engaged in personal investing to grow their own capital, I
just remembered.
Let me finish my thought. They imagine that they're buying someone who's just starting out on their very first investment journey. They buy one small part, let's say one thin slice of an apple, or just one single share, and then it just sits there for them. It just waits for them. They think it will bring them some kind of result. But when I listen to more experienced investors, they treat this share differently. Not as just a part of a whole apple, but as a part that also has a seed. And you can plant that seed and it will grow.
But
the development will gradually continue. This apple will bring more apples, and accordingly the project will keep developing. You start to care about its growth, about this share. You take care of it, you increase this share, and accordingly from this, your investment capital and personal investment capital grow.
Here the investor, it is assumed that we also have a partnership agreement. In the dashboard, in the back office, there is a partnership agreement that the investor signs, or just any person. They might not be an investor. They can sign the partnership agreement and become a partner of the project. Furthermore, if you decide to become an official partner of this innovative project, you will receive your own unique referral link. When you actively share this referral link with others and they choose to buy investment packages, the company will reward you by paying you a commission for that contribution. A bonus, a referral bonus. And this is what's called word of mouth. It's when one person tells another, yes, spreading the word, when it goes...
A method of spreading among people, passing information from person to person?
From person to person. That is, it's not direct advertising through billboards or the internet and so on, but specifically from person to person. This is a more effective method. It's the most effective method, more so than billboards or any kind of advertising. You look at it, read it, maybe you understand something or maybe you don't, right?
Just understand and figure it out.
To truly understand and figure it out, maybe you're just too lazy to do it yourself. But here, a friend gives you all the information in full, and the company pays them for it. A referral bonus. That's it. That's why every investor is also a co-owner. They have this kind of responsibility. That is, they absolutely must. It is absolutely crucial that they tell others about the project, even if they will not eventually become a partner. Even if they are just an investor who has not yet signed a formal partnership agreement, it does not change anything at all. They still definitely need to tell other people about the project because otherwise there won't be any movement. Yes, there won't be any development because for us, we, like all parts of a single mechanism, if one part somewhere works poorly, then accordingly the whole mechanism works poorly. And this needs to be understood simply by them. People need to understand this, but unfortunately they don't understand. They buy packages on installment, they chase after bonus shares and so on. But all of that is understandable. Bonus shares, of course, that's all good. On the one hand, it's good. But on the other hand, it's not so good because we are devaluing them. We are devaluing the shares. And that is exactly the reason why the fewer shares we give out, even bonus ones, the better. We don't even consider these bonus shares as investment shares. They will somehow be accounted for in a completely different manner anyway. Because there are already so many of them that the value is simply getting diluted.
It's dropping.
Yes, it's being devalued. That's why this should never be done under any circumstances. Investors don't understand this either. They want to collect as many shares as possible, but on the other hand, you can understand them too. Yes, we have a formula that works like this. The more shares you have, the more stocks you own, the more dividends you get. And so, based on all of this, they try to exert a significant amount of pressure on the project's administrative management team by demanding, give out more bonuses and run frequent promotions so there are these bonus shares available. And they continue to make these types of demands repeatedly over time. This is something you also need to understand. Everything should be done in moderation. This project, Electroatom, is an autonomous closed-cycle powder power plant. As a matter of fact, it's an incredibly powerful tool. Just take a moment to imagine you have one of these in your own backyard. A source of electrical energy that's essentially free of charge. What does it give you? Can you imagine that? It gives you cooling, it can give you a refrigerator, a practically free refrigerator. It can provide you with air conditioning at almost no cost to you whatsoever. It can even supply fresh water to your tap, because underground water is entirely free of charge. But to get that water flowing directly to your tap, you will definitely need electricity, so you can supply your own home with water almost for free as well. And you can also heat up your water almost for free.
Manage the operation of every one of your electrical appliances for more independence.
Lights. That's it, you become independent. Can you imagine what this gives you? This gives you huge advantages. You can save a significant amount of money that you used to spend simply on your utility bills. On those very same things. If you are a manufacturer, or if you have some kind of production facility, you will become far more competitive than possible. Why? Because you installed a power plant. And the main expense item at your enterprise where you produce something is electricity. You pay only for electricity. Only in
its different forms.
Only in its different forms, yes. When you have your own electricity, which is practically cheap, your products also become significantly cheaper. And as a result, you become much more competitive. You can compete with a variety of major companies you previously never even thought you could compete with before. And now you can easily and successfully do exactly that. Imagine your income increases. And if, for example, you were to install such a specialized power plant in some remote and isolated rural village where, for instance, let's say,
there are certain difficulties of access or particular climatic features in different areas.
Look, for example, there are places where there is no electricity at all, or it exists but with interruptions. If you install such a source of electric power, a constant one, 24/7, so that it works continuously, then people will start to settle there and development will begin. Development will start there. You see, there, businesses will start to form there because there is electricity. There will be movement there. Electricity is a strategic resource. It is a resource that people use. And thanks to this incredible resource, we no longer live in the Stone Age, but continue to develop only because of the power of electricity. Just imagine you have your very own source of practically cheap electricity like this, which is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in the exact amount you need, without any shortage or interruption.
Yes.
That is exactly right. And so, if you are such an investor and live in a place that is hard to reach, where there are frequent power outages and other challenges, you know firsthand how hard life is without electricity. So if you are exactly that kind of thoughtful investor who truly knows how incredibly hard it is to live without electricity, then why not do a wonderful good deed today and tell other people all about this project? You could even do it for free. Well, in the end, you would be doing a truly noble and good deed for the world.
Yes, absolutely right.
And if these people learn about the project and even invest money, then you will receive a bonus for that. What's wrong with that? There's only good in this. You will only be doing a good deed and for everyone involved. For the local community, for your friends, acquaintances and loved ones. And the project will continue to develop. You see, then we'll be able to allocate budgets for construction and so on. Right now, we are unable to allocate any construction budget, because our investors do not feel responsible for it. Yes, they think to themselves, well,
personal gain?
Yes, they think, well, we've invested our share, we have already done our part, and that's it. There are people who truly understand this and who keep moving forward even for free, constantly investing their own money in development. Yes, they organize things, some presentations and so on. There are even some people who don't sign a partnership agreement. They don't even take money. Yes, they refuse to take any money. They are specialists. No? For example, in Vietnam, there are several notable leaders who don't take any money at all.
It's not some kind of humanitarian goal.
Not with them, meaning right there with us. What do we actually have here? Well, KPI is kind of a trendy word. That is, if a representative meets the KPI, the company gives them a super bonus. But in Vietnam, we don't really need that. We do this because it's a good deed, because it's a good thing to do.
They understood the project's idea?
They understood it, yes. They understood this idea and they are developing and implementing it. And for that, we are very grateful to them. And in general, a huge thank you to everyone who is involved in developing the project and moving it forward. I want to emphasize once again that an investor is also a co-owner. You see, it is vital for you to understand that you are all co-owners and you carry this shared responsibility. Even though you are currently buying an investment package in monthly installments, if everyone paid off their installments right now and made their payments, we would have received $3.5 million if everyone had contributed $50 each. But people paid different amounts. Some paid 50, some paid 100. So we would have already received this amount. Just imagine how many people don't understand that they themselves are responsible for their own, even if you paid $50 and next time you decide not to pay. So all that money will simply vanish into thin air. That is why, if through your podcast here, Alexander, we can convey this vital piece of information to people, what I think is a very straightforward and simple idea to understand, and if people really listen, understand and grasp the concept and start acting immediately, then everything will develop much better and faster.
Yes, I agree with that. To summarize our discussion, we can put it this way. In this specific project, the core concept of an investor is approached quite differently. Not as someone who simply provides their finances, but as a partner who is directly involved in strategic development and strategic influence. this applies both on a global level, on a humanitarian level among the general population, and on a technical breakthrough and modernization in the global energy sector. I'm not even talking about specific countries, but truly a global format. In other words, the primary goal of the investor is not just to participate, but specifically to actively influence the development of the technology, its dissemination, and the improvement of the living conditions of people all around the world. That is, the investor's mission is, first and foremost, a charitable one.
Yes, absolutely right. Exactly, on a global scale in the true sense of the word. And all the people who are participating in the project right now, as you correctly said, that's exactly what is happening. We are going to completely restructure the existing global energy infrastructure on a truly global scale. This entire system absolutely needs to be fundamentally changed for the future. It definitely needs to be changed. And everyone who is participating now is taking part in this process in the most direct way.
We're talking about both passive and active participation. Yes.
It's just that some people don't understand this, and some people do understand it, that's all. And that's the only difference between them. And I just really want more people to fully understand exactly what it is they're participating in right now, really. We're not simply engaging in light-hearted humor or joking around here. This is truly a serious and significant global endeavor in which ordinary people from all over the world are actively involved. The most ordinary people, regular folks. Car washers, loaders. Just the most ordinary people, not some oligarchs or anyone like that. No, we don't have them. Any big corporations? No, just ordinary people. We are joining forces together to finally address and solve this problem. This electrical one. That's all. And life is free.
I just caught myself thinking that so many of these massive global giants, more and international corporations that produce something, all started out by simply solving a pressing problem. Even the first iPod was created so that music would be accessible to everyone, independently. And gradually, of course, if you look into every technology, even Lamborghini, for example, didn't start out making sports cars. But at first, they made tractors for work. And gradually, everything developed from the desire to solve some kind of problem. And now, what do we have? These are huge corporations. These are enormous finances. But nevertheless, the goals they set were achieved one way or another. And over time, further development followed. But I think that everyone who participated back then, they were investing not in the project itself, but in the idea behind the project. That is to solve something. If we are talking about solving the energy problem, and it's not a local issue, not something isolated somewhere, but a global one. And we're not even talking about a country or a continent, but about the entire planet. This could truly lead to something historic. I'm not afraid to use that word, something that would become part of world history. One day it will be remembered. That's why every investor holds this opportunity in their hands. Will you go down in history as someone who creates this world, or as someone who simply invested and remained somewhere in the shadows?
An observer?
Yes.
Yes. There are the positions of an observer and of a doer. Yes. We need doers. We need doers more than anyone else.
Victor, well, as we bring this discussion to a close, I would like to suggest that we take a moment to say a few words to all of our valued existing partners, to those dedicated people who have already joined the project. Perhaps we can inspire them with some truly motivational and encouraging words. Please.
Well, I'm not much of a motivational speaker, to be honest, as they say. Friends, what would I like to say? Partners, colleagues, to all the national representatives, and to everyone who is working on this monumental project, we are truly doing something global in its scope. We are actively changing this restrictive global paradigm that has held people back for far too long. We are trapped within these so-called electric shackles, so to speak. And we possess every right and the collective power to turn all of this around completely. And in my opinion, we're doing exceptionally well at it. We just need to come together as one, to establish a unified team and progress together as a single front, so we can achieve greater and more impactful results. Thank you so much, Alexander, for inviting me to speak on your podcast today. I truly hope that we will get to see each other again very soon.
Sure.
Because our viewers will surely have many questions, and they will ask them, and I will be here to answer them.
That would be great, Victor. We would like to thank you so much for sharing, inspiring, and clarifying. probably one of the most important questions for any investor in any field. To all of our dear friends, thank you very much for watching today. Stay tuned for our new episodes. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next podcast. See you soon.
Goodbye.